Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and this is my review of Tully. Diablo Cody and Jason Reitman team up again for another female-centric story that again stars Charlize Theron. And this one deals with motherhood. I thought the trailers for this were fantastic. They really depicted an indie dramedy that seemed right up my alley. And overall, I think this was a very, very good film. So let's go ahead and talk about the positives first. Charlize Theron plays our lead character so well. Marlo is such a fantastic character, and while the writing does a lot of that work, Charlize herself does a lot as well. She really sells this character as a real person, and she pulls off everything so spectacularly. I think this is one of Charlize's best performances over the last several years, due to the fact that it was so layered, so nuanced, and really, it was a perfect performance for the role. I thought the other performances were also strong as well, but Charlize was definitely the standout and highlight of the film. And I think the first 2/3 of this movie are borderline perfect. I thought they were really, really good, and they were a really good representation of what it felt like this film was trying to say about motherhood. And that script by Diablo Cody was really good. Speaking on her in particular, this is probably one of the best scripts she's ever written. I really think that even when it's not perfect, the script is still very strong, and those first 2 full acts of the film are fantastic. Nearly flawless screenwriting, acting, filmmaking. Those first 2 acts are so good. And they create really funny, genuinely relatable moments throughout. Whether you're a mother or you're not a mother, I think you can kind of connect to what is happening on the screen. I'm not a mother myself, so I can't really say if this speaks to the motherhood experience, but it felt like Diablo Cody's viewpoint of the motherhood experience. It's her motherhood experience coming through on the screen, and I thought that really came through in a genuine way. It's really witty writing, it's smart writing, and I just thought the first 2 acts of this film were fantastic. There's also a part of the story structure and the narrative that goes differently than I was anticipating it to go. Up until a little bit before it happened, I figured it out. But that actually is going to lead me into our negative section when it comes to the film, because I think that this story plot that takes place mostly works pretty well. I think really it was a nice zest to the story. But when you start retroactively going back through the film to track this new story point, some of it doesn't quite add up. I'm not going to go any further because I don't want to give spoilers, but it's both a positive and a negative. And in general, that 3rd act felt a little bit too much movie drama to me. It was so real and so relatable and so lived in for the first 2 acts that it created this really beautiful, wonderful film and atmosphere. And then that 3rd act, we really start getting into movie scenarios. We really start getting into big situations happening. And it definitely started to feel like a movie. I much preferred it when it was just about motherhood and it was just about this family, and we didn't get big life-changing events and revelations. And I think it definitely got a lot weaker once it tried to put a wrap end on all of this. And in saying both of those things, I came out not really knowing what we were supposed to take away from this film. Again, to harken back on those first 2 acts, they had a very clear vision of a depiction of motherhood. And it was very clear in its message and in its viewpoint. But once we got into that 3rd act, that didn't come across nearly as much or as clearly. And suddenly we have these new things to deal with, and the message of it all gets muddled, and you end up not really knowing what the takeaway is here. And for a movie that so clearly starts off with a takeaway and with a view, to end like that was really disappointing. So overall, I think Tully is still a very strong film. The third act is not a disaster, it's just not as strong as I would have liked after two nearly perfect acts of cinema. But it only weakened my liking of the film somewhat. It didn't make me hate it by any means. It didn't even make me dislike it. I still really enjoyed watching Tully. I had a good time. I laughed. I smiled. I was along for the ride. And even in that third act, I had plenty of good times there as well. So, ultimately, I think if you're a mother, I say give this a full price ticket. I hope that there are things in here that you'll relate to and you'll find funny and you'll find enjoyment in watching. If you're a father, I also think you should probably go watch this film as well. Full price ticket. For most of the same reasons. And in both scenarios, maybe to understand the other viewpoint. Because we all know it's not just mothers who do this, and it's not just fathers who do this. Every relationship is different. So take it in and maybe get a viewpoint of the other side of things. Otherwise, if you like Diablo Cody films, this also deserves a full price ticket. And generally, if those trailers have looked any sort of promising to you, I say it deserves that full price ticket. It is quality. It is a good film with flaws that strike near the end. So, that is my review of Tully. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click like down below and subscribe to the channel so you are always up to date on our latest videos. Also, join in on the discussion. Are you excited to see Tully, or have you already seen it? If you have, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, or you can hit me up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!